Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Dr. Claudia Albers, Planet X researcher and professional physicist. And today I'd like to bring to you another one of my articles. This one is entitled Planet X Planets or Exploded Planets. Now, in Article 512 entitled Planet X Pieces of Dead Planets and Chemtrails, I wrote about the presence of biological compounds such as desiccated blood in material which seems to be falling out of the sky, which is usually attributed to the powers that be desire to cause disease in the general population and are thus adding disease-causing organic materials to chemtrails. However, since they would also be exposing themselves to such diseases, this explanation seems unlikely. It is therefore much more likely that the organic compounds are a part of the Planet X dust, which seems to keep entering the atmosphere in increasing quantities. And here you see a large bank of cloud which is advancing on the city in China. And the cloud was fog, pink Planet X fog, not a sandstorm as had been reported, as it was clearly not made of sand. And you may look at Article 460 entitled Planet X Increasing Effects on the Earth, Pink Fog, Fissures, Gigantic Rogue Waves, etc. So the fact that the Planet X dust is increasing can be seen in the fact that these events are increasingly happening around the world. So this colored fog, as well as increasing incidence of fissures and sinkholes, as well as severe weather. And these objects create regions of low pressure in the Earth's atmosphere, which are then associated to cyclonic storm systems. So they are the cause of the severe weather systems that are affecting our planet. And you may look at Article 484 entitled Planet X, the cause behind low pressure weather systems. Tidal surges are also associated to the largest low pressure systems in the Earth's atmosphere because large stellar cores create these. These stellar cores also give rise to tidal bulges on the ocean underneath them. Tidal surges are also associated to gigantic rogue waves as the water is less dense within the tidal bulge and the wind is likely to create larger waves with low density water. Thus, the increasing incidence of severe weather around the world indicates that more of these objects are coming to the Earth, and since they are surrounded in clouds of debris, more and more debris is likely to be entering the atmosphere. In addition, the larger of these objects, when they approach Earth, cause earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. And you may look at Article 505 entitled Planet X Creating Earthquakes by Inducing Positive Plasma Current Flows. The larger of these objects will have even larger debris fields around them, which will enter the atmosphere and which will thus increase the incidence of colored fog. And here's the diagram which illustrates that a low pressure region cannot exist without there being a source of gravitational field creating it. And this is because if you have a region of low pressure, then the surrounding air, which will be at a higher pressure and therefore a higher density, will quickly move in to equalize that density or pressure. So this low pressure system would quickly cease to exist. So it is only when a region of low pressure is created by a stellar core that it can exist, because it exists as a result of the gravitational wave it generates, because the object is a source of gravitational field. So it's a massive object that generates a gravitational field, and then that gravity creates a gravitational wave between the object and the surface of the Earth, and that gives rise to this low pressure system. It's basically like a tidal bulge. You will get a tidal bulge if instead of solid ground you have ocean here, you get a tidal bulge. The water will be less dense just below the stellar core due to its tidal influence. And the same thing happens to the air. It creates a region of low density. Now, the presence of such organic matter as this desiccated blood in the debris indicates that the Planet X system planets did not die over a long period of time. If they had died over an extended period of time of thousands or millions of years, all animal life would have died a long time before the planet broke apart due to loss of gravitational influence. This loss of gravitational influence would occur when the planet ran out of energy. In other words, ran out of radioactive compounds in its core to fission, as fission leads to the release of photon energy. And you may look at Article 192 entitled Neutron Stars and Fission as a Star's Internal Energy Source for more details. This would then cause loss of gravitational attraction of its outer layers of material to the center of the planet, leading to the planet breaking up and floating out into space layer by layer. But this process would be slow, and any animal life would die long before the planet completely broke apart. There would also most likely be many volcanic eruptions long before pieces started flying into space, so that organic life on the surface would become extinct due to an increasing toxic atmosphere and lack of light for photosynthesis. But the presence of desiccated blood amongst the dust coming into our atmosphere indicates that animals were alive on the planet when it broke apart, and that therefore the planet suddenly exploded. This means that the Planet X system dead planets or exploded planets. The stars in the Planet X system would have gone through a similar process, as there is not much difference between a planet and a star. And this is an artist's impression of an exploding planet, which fits the idea that the Planet X system dead planets did not die slowly, they exploded. And this illustrates the difference between a planet and a star. And the main difference is size. Stars are much larger. Both have a core, are positively charged on the inside, both, and are negatively charged on the outside. They both have a negatively charged outer layers. That's the atmosphere. They both have a liquid layer around the core. There's the liquid layer, molten rock basically. But this layer goes all the way to the surface with a star, whilst the planet has a solid surface and solid rock layers under the surface. Both have gaseous atmospheres, but stars generate such a high electric field in their outer layers that the atmosphere goes into plasma arc mode and thus emits huge amounts of light. So this would be the corona. And this would be the chromosphere, which is molten rock, and it would go all the way down to the core, and it's therefore liquid. So, and you may look at Article 506 entitled Planet X, Earth CMEs, and Star Internal Structure for more details. Thus, if they had died slowly, animal life would have disappeared from the surface long before the planet broke up. But the presence of organic matter in the debris indicates that the planet went from being a living planet sustaining animal life to suddenly breaking apart. This suggests that the planet's gravitational or photon energy, which exists within its particles, suddenly ceased to exist. In order for the planet to suddenly lose its gravitational influence over its own matter, the gravitational photon energy within its particles would have to suddenly disappear. How can photon energy suddenly disappear from within matter? Only the creator of the universe could do something like that. This therefore agrees with the idea that God suddenly removed the light energy from the Planet X system, stars and planets, in response to Lucifer's rebellion. And you may look at Article 488 entitled Planet X is the Destroyer System, the result of Lucifer's rebellion. So in Article 488, I show that Earth is inside the space occupied by the Planet X star systems, and that the Earth too was destroyed, but that according to Genesis 1 verse 1 to 3, God reformed the Earth, starting by saying, let there be light. However, only later in the chapter does he place the sun in its place. So The light God was talking about in this passage of the Bible was not light from the sun, but the light which gives a planet life, which gives it its gravitational influence, light which exists within particles. I also show that Lucifer's rebellion is described in Isaiah 14 verses 12 to 16, where he is quoted as saying that he would ascend into heaven and exalt his throne above the stars of God, and that he wanted to be like the Most High. And so he wanted to have God's position. Also, we learned that he had a throne. He talks about his throne here, and exalt his throne. And thus he was a ruler, and that therefore he most likely ruled over the planet X star systems, which God then destroyed. So in conclusion, the Planet X system planets do not seem to have died over a long period of time, but suddenly, since there seems to be desiccated blood in their debris fields, which indicates that animals were alive on the planets at the time that they broke up. This means that the planets suddenly exploded, which agrees with the idea that they were destroyed by God as a result of Lucifer's rebellion. And these are the references. This is Dr. Claudia Albers, Planet X physicist. Thank you for watching.